Hello and welcome to the Should You Buy for the Bushwacker. Today we're going to go through the mech, all of its statistics, some example builds, some ideas of where hardpoints will be based on its concept art, and whether or not it will be a good purchase. Alright, let's get going here. First off, the artwork. I know I don't typically hang up on the artwork because really it doesn't matter, but the colors on the hero here are very particular. You can see these blues and orange. I wonder where they came from. If we take a look here, it's actually from an old Battletech toy. And so you can see the orange nose, the blues in the arms, not being subtle at all. But yeah, Bushwacker. Oh, it's so nostalgic in that sense. You can just take a quick peruse through here. We've got a nice sort of woodland, more like a jungle feeling to it. That's a really interesting one. And then just the standard collection. But let us continue down. A very standard way of breaking apart the packs. $20 for the standard collection, which gives you 3 Bushwacker variants. The collector's pack gives you the 3 again, with the X1 being the special. Mech bays, premium time, items, badges and titles, all that fun stuff. And we have a hero add-on for $15 of the High Roller, and we have a reinforcement add-on of the P1 and P2. So we'll definitely take a look at these, see if they are in particular any stronger or worse than any of the standard variants. So if they're pay to win, pay to customize, that kind of thing. Go back and then Ultimate Pack at the price, which is just everything added up. It'd be nice if they had a little bit of a discount there for buying everything at once, but oh well. We'll move forward here. Early adopter rewards, nothing really crazy here. I only mentioned them on the Marauder 2C because there was an additional mech in there. But I mean, the decal is cool, but overall, nothing really huge here for early adopter rewards. But let's get down to the mech specs, because that's the most important part about the mech. We've got the Bushwacker. It is a 55-ton IS medium battle mech. There was a little bit of confusion. I saw a few people in the community thinking that it was an Omni mech, but you can see here this is hard points, not Omnipods, so it's a battle mech. Will not be able to change its hard points around, so good to know. Standard engine is a 275 XL for 81 kilometers an hour before speed tweak, max engine rating of 360, and armor, double heat sinks. First off, every single one has an XL engine. This is great. As well, every single one has double heat sinks. This is insane value of C-bills for each mech, because every XL engine is 4 something million. Every double heatsink is 1.5 million to upgrade. So there's a lot of free upgrades that are already done here. If you're looking for IS medium that you don't have to put in much aftermarket after you buy the pack, this is actually a pretty good value. It's gonna make this pack better value than some of the other packs out there because of the mass amount of C-bill value you have here. Also, the 3 standard packages ones come with Pharaoh installed and standard structure. So if you're going to want to tweak that to be perfect, you're going to want to switch those around, drop the Pharaoh back to standard, and get endo steel. So a little bit of a cost there, but the reinforcement pack and the hero are all set up with standard armor and endo steel structure. So you're ready to rock, really. You don't have to do much to these mechs. Strip them, put the engine back in, the 275 that you got when purchasing it, customize. You don't have to really spend much more for the mech to get it running and how you want it. First off, let's take a look at my spreadsheet warrior here, because I've broken out the Bushwacker. We're going to look at some of the combinations of the different structure and armor and engines, so we can see how much pod space the mech is going to have. So we got 55 ton, we've got our difference between XL and standard engines here, and I've ranged the engines from 250, because you never really want to go below 250, because it would require extra heat sinks to be added, up to 350. Our max is 360, but once you get into those higher ones, you don't want to really go that far past the 350 range, because it's a little less efficiency per ton in terms of your speed. Take a look at the speed, and after they've been tweaked, the stock engine is at 87.1 after tweak. If we go down to a 250, we're at 79.2. A little slow for a medium, but still on the cusp of workability. I personally like to run my mediums over 80 kilometers an hour, preferably over 90, so I can maneuver a bit more. Speed is life, in my opinion, but 79 is workable, especially if you're going to be having a larger attack value, because you'll have a fair amount of pod space. But we go up 300, 95 kilometers, 325, 103, and a 350, 111 kilometers per hour. So you can get this mech going fairly quick. Endo structure, most likely across the board. That's what I'm guessing people will be using. 3 tons of weight. And if we're taking an XL, we're most likely going to have standard armor, because this is a new calculation I put into the spreadsheet. This is calculating available slots. So if we are taking ferro armor as well, this updates in a moment, we're going to see our available slots here drop down to 15. And that's painful. That is not a lot of slots in order to fit some equipment. Some places that's like an AC-20, a couple things, and you're done. You don't have any more space to use up your 29 tons of pod space. So it's like, okay, most likely if you take Endo and an XL, you'll have standard armor. If you take standard, a standard engine, you can more likely take Endo and Ferro, because you're going to have 21 slots. It's still going to be tight, but you could probably make it work. If you take standard with a standard engine, you're going to have 35, more than enough. This is probably what it's going to be like if you're running a energy-based build on one of the variants. You'll probably want to drop some of your upgrades in order to get these slots. But we'll just put it back to this for now. We'll list through the pod spaces here. For the XL engines, obviously higher than the standard engines, but if we take an XL250, we're going to have a whopping 50% pod space with 28 tons. Also, I did some calculations and some testing, and if we strip an arm, we get just over 1 ton back. If we strip 2 arms and a little bit off the legs, we get 2.5 additional tons. So use that in mind. Some quick calculations I did: if we strip both arms and a little bit off the legs, for a 275, we have 29 tons. For a 300, we have 27.5. And for a 325, we have 24 tons. So still a fair amount of pod space, of weaponry we're able to do stuff with. Look at the standard engines. Of course, it drops down significantly, but it's sort of an interesting parity here. Standard engine, 250, 23 tons. Probably with a little bit of strippage, you can get that down to a little bit higher, maybe 24.5, 25. But what basically is happening is if you can do a build on, say, the XL300, you could do it on a standard 250. And it's going to be basically the same build. 23.18, 24.94. It's about ton 0.8 apart, but you can make up with that by stripping arms and such. So anything on the 250 standard could be on the 300 XL. Anything 275 standard would be on the 325 XL. I should probably be clicking over here to show these off. Anything on the 300 standard, getting down to 16.68 tons, not really that much. It'd be equivalent to the 350 XL. So I'd probably say, depending on the what's going to be the hitboxes of the mech, we'll see if it's XL safe or not. But if it is, you're probably going to want your 275, which comes with the mech, or say a 300. It'll probably get you a good amount of speed, 95 kilometers an hour, and 25 tons, which you can raise up to 26 and a half, depending on how much armor you strip from arms and such. But let's head back to the Bushwacker page, and we'll align here on the statistics. If I can find my thing there. There we go. Excellent. Now, let's go down and look at these hard points right here. What's really interesting is the Bushwacker pretty much universally across all of the variants, except for these two right here in the middle, have a ballistic in each side torso, and that is big for an IS medium. If we look at Smurfy here, the only other IS medium that has this is the Cicada 3C with 2 ballistic in each side torso. If we scroll down, there's Blackjack within the arms, a Phoenix Hawk within the arms, but these are on the smaller side, not able to carry as many ballistics. And we keep going down, we got multiple in one location, but we don't have ballistics spread across a mech. Probably the closest mech as an example to this would be the Shadow Hawk in terms of I used it for some of my theory crafting, but all of its ballistics are stuck in a single torso. Because of this, because the Bushwacker has ballistics in both left and right torsos, we're going to be able to do larger ballistic builds on this thing. So we're going to be able to do dual 10s, most likely, probably jokingly, dual 20s. Hopefully you can fit that and make it work. I know some people try to squeeze 20s onto the Cicada and just boom Cicada for fun, but you'll be able to do it a little bit more successfully with a 55 tonner. Have more weight to work with. But let's look through the individual variants here. These are battle mechs, so we have to look down the column instead of looking at what the best combinations are across the Omnipods, because these are hard points. Let's look at the X1. This is the one that you will get, the first one in the standard pack, and if you get the collectors, this will also be a plus 30% C-Bill variant. So, left arm, 2 missile, left torso, missile and ballistic, center torso energy, right torso ballistic, right arm ballistic. We have a total of 3 missile, 1 energy, and 4 ballistic. Now, we have 3 missiles, so that means we could do an SRM on this. And that's sort of my rule. 3 or more, you can SRM, because you have that critical mass of 3 SRM6s, be able to do that fight. So you could do something like 3 SRM6s and a UAC 5. Maybe you could do 3 SRM6s and a LB10. Maybe you could squeeze that in, but it would be definitely like an XL250 build and not the 275. Some other builds that I came up, and these would be working on several of these different designs. These are sort of just general Bushwacker builds. Is you could do a dual 10s with 5 ammo. Just dual AC 10s. It's pretty good. Dual Ultra 5s and a large laser. Triple 2s, because we have the 2 ballistic in the right torso and the 1 in the side torso. We can do triple 2s and strip both arms of armor to get that little bit of extra weight. You got triple 2s, a large laser, and 6 tons of ammo. So you could be a fire suppression, sit back there and blink away. Also triple 2s, and you could drop the large laser down to a medium laser or medium pulse to upgrade the engine or get more ammo, depending on how you want to do it. So there's several things that this mech can do, and I think it'll be a fine bonus variant if you're going to go along the lines of the collector pack. Moving on to the X2, the second one in the standard pack, we have basically a rearrangement sort of thing, trading off a ballistic for an additional energy and a rearrangement of the missile. 3 missile, 1 in the left arm, 2 in the left torso instead of 2 in the left arm, and 1 in the left torso with the X1. A ballistic in the left torso, 2 energy now in the center, and then a single ballistic in the right and a single ballistic in the right arm. So just rearranged it. We dropped a ballistic for an energy. That means we can do things like 2 medium pulse and some ballistics, or 2 medium lasers and some ballistics, or 2 medium pulse and some missiles. Depending on how you wanted to do it, this will still be a good mech to run. Just have that little bit of, instead of this one just being a single laser, you're more likely to go with a larger laser, like a large laser or a large pulse, because it's just better when you only have the one. Where this, you could do 2 medium pulse and, I don't know, the double 5s or double LB10s. Maybe that'll fit in there. Maybe with 2 medium lasers, dual LB10s, you can make that work with an XL250. But moving on, the S2. We have 2 missiles in the left arm, 2 missiles in the left torso, 2 energy, and a ballistic in the right arm. So this is the standards splat build. You're going to be able to do things like 4 SRM-6s with Artemis, 5 tons of ammo, 2 medium pulse, and a pretty good engine. You can do that with like an XL300. So that'd be actually pretty kick-ass. You can even do something along those lines with the 325 engine, XL325. Same kind of thing. Probably have to drop down from medium pulse to medium lasers. Maybe a little bit hotter because you're not going to take as many double heat sinks. But still, you can make this one, the S2, into a pretty fast missile striker. You could also do a one-sided build like you could do with the X2 with, say, some energy in the center and like a large ballistic on the right arm. But this one is going to be best suited for a fast missile striker, and also it has dual AMS, so if you want to take that to cover yourself with LRMs while you are making your maneuvers, making your flanks with your very fast 4 SRM-6s with Artemis. Tried to say that weirdly. You can do that. Now, getting into the reinforcements, we have the P1, and let's look down here. It's actually a little bit, I don't want to say better, but it's a little more specialized in terms of missiles. We have 2 in the left arm, 2 in the left torso, 2 in the right torso, with 1 energy in the center and 1 ballistic in the right arm. So we have 6 missiles now. We can do things like we can drop down our missile sizes. Instead of being, say, SRM-6s, we can do SRM-4s with Artemis, or even just SRM-4s without Artemis. Already the SRM-4s have a pretty tight spread, so you can save a fair amount of tonnage, and you can get, instead of 4 6s with the previous one, you can do 6 4s for the same amount of missiles, but it's going to be shooting slightly faster. It's going to have a little bit higher DPS in that sense, because SRM-4s recycle that couple fractions of a second faster than SRM-6. But overall, it's going to be about the same as the S2 in terms of viability. It's just that tiny bit of optimization. Not enough for me to care that it's RP and it's obviously pay to win. It's not. It's just a tiny bit of customization there. You can also do better splat builds on things like the Griffin. The Griffin 2N is an amazing platform for this. So nothing really crazy here in terms of this mech. Moving on to the P2. Go down here, and this is the first one we see with energy in an arm. We have 2 energy in the right arm, 2 energy in the center torso, a ballistic in each side torso, and a missile in the left torso and the left arm. So we only have 2 missiles, so this is not going to be an SRM variant. Might as well ignore those missiles. We have 4 energy and 2 ballistic really to work with on this. 4 energy, that's good. We can do like 4 medium lasers. We can take one of the ballistics, put in an AC-20 there. We can Hunchback 4G better than the Hunchback 4G can, which is pretty awesome because we can have an entire dead side. Something that was a little painful for the Hunchback 4G to do, because then we're losing a medium laser, most likely in the left arm, because you would go head laser, right arm laser, right torso AC-20, and you'd probably ignore the left side and use it as a shield with the Hunchback 4G. You can do the exact same things here, except you have an additional 2 energy hardpoints that are in the right locations for you to utilize them. 2 in the center, 2 in the right arm, and then that 1 big ballistic in the right torso. So 4 medium laser, AC-20, 4 medium laser, Gauss rifle, something along those lines. We'll make a fairly decent mech. Also, again, any of the builds I listed before that would fit on the X1 are more than likely going to fit on here with an additional energy to back it up. So 2 medium lasers, Ultra 5s, or just plain AC 10s, stuff like that. What this thing can do uniquely is the fact that the right arm has the energy. Because up until now, everything's been in the center torso, so we've been limited to only 2 critical slots for our energy. So we have 2 energy, it has to be a medium laser or medium pulse, or small lasers or small pulse, because they only take up 1 critical slot. If we take a large pulse on this mech, we're not going to be able to use one of our hard points. But here, because it's in the right arm, we can start to do things like 3 large pulse lasers. 1 in the center torso, 2 in the right arm. 3 large lasers. 2 PPCs in the arm, 2 medium lasers in the center torso. Heat sinks up the wazoo. And just, it's going to be our energy variant a little bit better if you get the reinforcement pack. There is really no energy variant in the standard pack. So if you want to have energy weapons on Bushwacker, you're going to have to get the reinforcements. Not that the other Bushwhackers are not going to be strong in any sense because they can't do energy. It's just that playstyle is going to be locked behind the reinforcement wall. They'll still be effective without them. But we're moving on here to the hero. We come down, we see very uniquely 3 energy in the left arm, a missile in the left torso, a ballistic in each side torso, and a ballistic in the right arm. So again, only 1 missile, discount it. We're not going to use it for anything because we don't have enough for SRMs, and we're not taking LRMs. But 3 ballistics, 3 energy. Interesting stuff we can use here. Also, we weren't able to, say, do 4 large laser designs on the P2 because still 2 of the energy were locked behind 2 critical slots. Now, with 3 energy in 1 arm, we can start doing things like the Wolverine build, the Wolverine, where it had 3 large pulse and a medium laser, or 4 large lasers. You can do that kind of stuff with this. You should be able to get enough critical slots out of the mech if you take an XL engine and don't take standard or don't take ferro or endo steel, and save your critical slots for as many DHS as possible. But that's what the high roller will be. It's a little even better energy than the reinforcements. So if you just end up getting this, you can just get the standard and the reinforcement, not the standard reinforcement, standard and hero, and the hero can act as your energy variant instead of having to get the one out of the reinforcement. And it'll do it a little bit better and a little bit more uniquely because it's on the left arm instead of the right arm, so it's a little left-sided focus. It's interesting. But again, you have a energy in the center, you've got energy in the arm, you can do a left-oriented Hunchback 4G type, like we explained before, 4 medium lasers AC20, you can make that work with like the standard 250, a bit slow, but still powerful. And you can do any of the dual torso ballistic things that we described before, you can do the triple AC2s on this thing. Again, fairly flexible energy and ballistics. But that is all of the hard points. Let's zip back up here and look at where these guns are probably going to end up based on this artwork here. So we can see that on the side torso, there's that very high missile rack. Now, if it's only the missile rack that's up there, that'd be very interesting. We can see the machine guns in the side torsos are right here. They're fairly close to the cockpit, and looks like the arms aren't knuckle dragging very much. They're pretty high comparatively. You only have to expose down to your crotch. Sounds a little weird out of context, but the arm guns aren't that much lower than torso guns. So if your torsos generally can hit, you're typically going to be able to hit with your arm weapons as well. Now, the question is, where will these SRM racks go? If they're up there as sort of a separate thing, that might be a little bit of a bullet magnet, because I use that sometimes. If I ever see a Timberwolf with LRMs or something along those lines, I go, well, hey, you're just basically advertising, shoot me in the side torso here, because it's a great big box that I can shoot at. That might occur here. So if you are doing a thing, you're like, oh, well, I got a few extra tons. I'll just throw in an SRM6 and a ton of ammo just for that little extra oomph. It might be detrimental because it might give the enemies a target that they can know, well, that's going to be right torso or left torso for sure, and they can just shoot at that. So be careful with that. Yeah, but other than that, it looks like all of the weapons are fairly evenly heighted. The cockpit is pretty close to the torso. It's not too terribly high. It doesn't have the Stormcrow syndrome or the Archer syndrome where the mech shoots up really high. Where the cockpit is, the cockpit would be like crotch level. So that's good. The cockpit is almost at the top of the mech. And that's actually reminiscent because the fact that this is based on Mad Dog designs that they Intersphere salvaged during the initial clan invasions. Now, the real concern here is the hitboxes, how it's going to be set up. Because if this is stalker-like hitboxes, and what I mean by that is if the side torso hitbox covers most of this visible area of the side torso right here, if that is true, this mech is going to be painful to excel in, and you're going to have to put in standard engines. But if it's not that, if that's center torso and it's got more of just a protruding center torso, maybe it's a bit more like a dragon in that sense, where its center torso is just like out and forward. The bad thing about that is you're not going to be able to torso twist very well. But the good thing about it is that it'll be fairly XL safe. So you can get more speed out of there, and that will improve your torso twisting ability, and that will improve your ability to just peek and shoot and get back into cover before you take return fire. Remember, speed is life. But these big bulky arms will also serve as good shields, and if it's not sort of a stalker-like torso, probably these bits right around here will be our side torsos. But overall, I think the mech, it's not going to be overpowered. The only thing that really it does uniquely is it's going to do dual side torso ballistics in a medium on the IS side that can actually hold dual ballistics and be worthwhile. The dual 10s, dual LB10s, dual Ultra 5s, triple 2s, stuff like that. Where the Cicada that had them before is just too light. It wasn't able to carry them. Other than that, you can get mechs in the game right now that can do the same thing, maybe sometimes even better than the Bushwacker. It's going to be middle of the road. It's not going to be, holy crap, this is the new Kodiak, this is amazing. But especially if you have a nostalgia trip for the Bushwacker, as I am having, because it's one of my more iconic mechs from me playing MechWarrior 4 back in the day. I'm really interested in getting it. It's not going to be bad, it's just going to be average. It's going to be middle of the road. Of course, quirks will define it if they overquirk it. So you have to wait for those. Which you can probably do that, as the pre-order bonuses aren't that crazy. But that would be what I think about the Bushwacker. Thanks for watching, and good hunting.